Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us on the conversation segment on the Signature Show on Africa Independent Television. This Sunday afternoon, I have a special guest with me today. Her name is Gloria Okolugbo, and she is the House of Representative candidate contesting under New Nigeria's People's Party in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. You're welcome, ma.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here.
You look really so beautiful this Sunday afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just a few days into the election, I know, of course, you are in the thick of your campaign. But what is the experience for you like contesting for House of Representatives seat in the Federal Capital Territory? How has the experience been for you like?
Well, I must say it has been challenging. That's the first word. Politics is what it is. Every politics is local, so you have to, as much as possible, connect with the people. And connecting with the people will mean making a lot of travel. Abuja South consists of 4 local governments: Gwagwalada, Kwali, Kuje, and Abaji. And so that means that I have to transverse these 4 local governments and canvass for votes and sell my mandate to them. So with the help of other media tools, which the people connect with, I do that, moving and doing one-on-one with as many community influencers, opinion leaders, and door-to-door. So it's been very challenging for the past how many months. But it's also afforded me more time to connect with the people. You know, I've always known the people, I've always been part of the community, and I know the challenges. But you see, challenges vary from community to community. And so it's given me ample opportunity to connect better with the people, as tedious as it has been. But it's been a ride so far, and we're looking forward to the elections. We're looking forward to the polls so that we have this concluded.
There seems to be a challenge, and one of those challenges in Nigeria today really is the question of citizenship. Every state determines who is its citizens. Nigeria as it is today, shouldn't we be talking about one citizenship?
We could say we can get on the journey of being there. First of all, we have to appreciate the unity in our diversity. I went to a federal government college. Years back, it was initiated as a means of uniting this country. And way back then, from childhood, I had friends who were from the north while I was from the south. And then they were in Warri, we were in Warri. And so they liked banga soup as much as we liked what we ate when I came up to the north to do my tertiary education. I was eating all the tuwo shinkafa and traveling everywhere. So you see, as a nation, we have tried in the past to close up our differences and enjoy our diversity. That worked very deeply because it was captured in us as very young children. And some of my very best friends, in fact, my best confidants growing up had been people from the north. And that was why it was easy for me to, in my adult life, come to the north. And I've lived here for over 30 years. And so for me, unquestionably, I'm an indigene. Because even when I go home to my state, they call me Mama Abuja. But you see, we cannot pretend that we don't have issues with us today as it is. And that has come about because of the politics of the day. In fact, a lot of the citizens of the Abuja, the indigenous citizens of Abuja, when I sat with them to discuss, and I did sit with all the various ethnic groups in Abuja, they have made me realize that they are so destabilized because of politics. The indigenous tribes in Abuja are having issues amongst themselves, and they understand and know that it was politics that was brought in to divide them. So when we're talking about the divisions of the peoples of Nigeria, it is even happening in the FCT. And so while we are trying to unite the peoples of the FCT with the non-indigenous peoples of the FCT, because even as I have lived for over 30 years, there's so many stakeholders who have stayed here for so many years, and this is the only home they know. A lot of our children were born here, raised here. This is the only home they know. Many of them can speak Hausa language, but they cannot speak our own indigenous language where we are born, where we come from. So, I mean, a boy that can speak Hausa and schooled all his life in Kaduna, and all his friends are from Kaduna, Kano, Zaria, you know, places like that. How do you tell him he's not an indigene of Kaduna State?
So which one will you subscribe to as an indigene? Is it where you're from or where you've lived and spent almost a lifetime at?
Where you have lived and you have spent most of your life. Nigerians have emerged as mayors in New York, in other cities around the world. When you see them and they're articulating the problems of the city and how they're solving it, that is all that matters to the man out there. They don't look at the color of their skin. That's not to say that there's no discrimination outside. We're seeing the Black Lives Matter movement. We're seeing the white on black abuse. We're seeing the racism. We're even seeing the black on black abuse occasioned by the system. That's not to say that there's no problem. But when it comes to the community level, the community members know who cares about them. The community members, when they sit with you and listen to your manifesto, I had my manifesto translated to the language that the people will understand. I sat with them. It's been running on the radio, the method of communication that they use. You don't just sit down and think that you can fabricate your own system and expect that you now say, okay, you have reached the people and they have not accepted you. Their level of acceptance will mean an understanding of how you can communicate with them. Communication is a two-way thing. I can be talking to you and say I have communicated. But until you have been able to understand what I have said, proper communication has not been achieved. And so I translated my manifesto blow by blow. Everything I intend to do for them, I have been relating with them, and they understand it. And they ask me questions about it. And they ask me how I'm going to go about it. And they're able to understand that they can actually be involved.
Now, talking about how you're going to go about it, you rightly mentioned that even the indigenes in the Federal Capital Territory have understood that their problems lies amongst themselves. And that it is
not amongst themselves. The political class is polarizing the relationship between ethnic groups within the indigenes.
So as an incoming federal lawmaker, how would you begin to, to get a solution to this,
So uniting them. It's already balkanized. They balkanized it because of politics. And so we're trying to unite the peoples of the FCT, the various ethnic groups, and then their non-indigenous community that has come to stay, because vast lands have been put together to comprise this FCT. It is not just one land. And so every person in this nation has come to be a stakeholder here. So whilst the indigenes, this is the only home they know. They don't even have any other home to go to if anything happens. So there's the attitude of being territorial, and we understand it. We must understand and appreciate it. By the same token, when you sit down and you articulate the fact that they have always had people who are supposed to be their indigenes representing them, and they have not really participated much because they see them as being so far up there. They are not within their range. They are not in their social class. There's this kind of social stratification, especially in the Abuja South. You find that it's the periphery of the periphery. It's like people who are living by the water, the river banks, and they are washing their hands with spittle. They are farmers, predominantly farmers. They can't even evacuate their goods from their farms to the city center. So how do we have food, the prices of food coming down in the metropolis? So it's a win-win situation I'm looking at. I'm looking at a situation where there's unity, there is peace to solve the banditry, the community gets together to approach security, issues of development. They act as one, with everybody in the community having a stake, having a sense of belonging. And then food security. I'm all about security, security, security. Food security, human security. I see developments from a human rights perspective. Basic rights to human life, decent living, decent work. It's not too much to ask for. The peoples of the FCT are not asking for too much. Indeed, the Nigerian people are not asking for too much from their leaders. Again, a people get the kind of leadership they deserve? Are we ready this time to pay the price as a people to get the kind of leadership we deserve? Are we ready to face the issues? Are we ready to forget about the little things, the carrots, the dangling carrots, the little things that are distributed, the colorful souvenirs being distributed everywhere at the expense of our future and the stake of our children? If we are ready as a people to take on the Nigerian state and say, yes, we can key in with the weapon of our votes, then we can liberate ourselves collectively as a people from this issue of development that is getting us nowhere as a people.
Now, to make sure you're not speaking above the people, you're speaking with the people, while you're going about your campaigning, is there any form of an acceptance to show that the people understand the message you're giving them? Is there any reaction you're getting to show that people understand the message you're giving?
On the street, say Gloria is the candidate. Say Gloria is the candidate in Abuja South. You can do your research. And I speak English because it's the form of communication I'm going to use in the National Assembly, because I have to be the voice of both the learned and the unlearned, both the educated and the uneducated. But my communication on the street is not English. My communication on the street is every language that is in the FCT. It is Hausa, it is Igbo, it is Yoruba, it is Pidgin English, and I'm comfortable with all of those languages. I speak the language of the people. First of all, the most important language the people understand is the language of love. It is a universal language. When you show the people love, when you show a will and a track record of integrity and ability to keep to your word, don't forget, if you check my resume, I've been a development worker for most of the part of the work I have done in the North. So I've been involved in public health advocacy. I'm a member of Global Health Council. I'm a member of Peace Alliance. I've been a civil society actor in this town. I'm a comrade, actually, and I earned my name as a comrade on the streets of Abuja, advocating for good governance, advocating for things to be done right before I was called upon to join the political class. Because you don't act from outside and keep criticizing from outside. You take the bull by the horn, and that's how come I found myself in politics. And I have served as a commissioner for 4 years. In the course of that, I've been a commissioner for energy. I've been out there, I've had my track record of ensuring that I did my bit.
What are your thoughts towards restructuring the country? And how should this restructuring start? What's your position?
At an earlier program, I did make some comments on this restructuring, and it was misconstrued. Restructuring is a process that we must go through. It's obvious to us there's too much power at the center. There's too much power at the center. That is agreed, and it makes the federating units lazy. And the federating units in this country are the states. They are the federating units. It's not even the local governments. So we need a lot of adjustments within our constitution. And we need all the houses of assemblies together with the national assemblies to work on the process of restructuring. But we cannot brandish restructuring as if it is the El Dorado or the beginning and the end of our problems. First of all, a lot of people who are even talking about restructuring don't even understand what it takes to restructure. We must unbundle this center that is too strong. By the same token, we have the states that are the federating units also very, very strong. Governors are actually seen as emperors. They have a lot of power. They wield a lot of power. So when we're complaining about the center, what about the states? So all of the problem is not coming from the center. In fact, the states have become very lazy. They're so used to coming cap in hand to the federal level to collect money. And so revenue from the states is, even when it's much, is under declared, so that the emphasis is on money coming from the center. At whose expense, So yes, the issue of structuring is important. It's germane, It has to be addressed. And when you have the right set of people in the National Assembly, the right set of people in all the parliaments around the country, competence, capacity, understanding of the issues, when we vote right, we won't have to be having the conversation over restructuring or no restructuring. It will begin to happen naturally. Because when we were talking about autonomy of local governments, and even when an executive bill had gone round and passed through the process in the National Assembly, at the state level, they were not able to get to TEDs. So we have to address where we are now as a nation, is where we address the fundamental things that bind us together. By first of all looking at competence. For this election, I have said, candidate by candidate. Let us throw away tribal sentiments, religious sentiments. Let us throw away, it's out of religious sentiments, for instance, that you will find somebody who will say, because I want acceptance in the North, I will do a Muslim ticket. It's not inclusive. Let us think about inclusion. Let us throw away sentiments of say, I must vote for somebody just because the person is from my religion, just because the person is from my race, just because the person is from my tribe. If you have an election in the forest, and I keep saying that, I keep saying it on my campaign, you have an election in the forest and the trees have to vote. And they say, okay, you have a knife and you have a cutlass and you have an axe. And they say, okay, you know the axe, it has some aspect of wood. He is our own. Let us vote for our own. And they keep voting for the axe. Meanwhile, you need to fell trees for you to get an axe. So they will have to keep felling trees to get an axe. So you keep wondering, who's felling all these trees? But the axe, knowing that it needs wood for its head, will always make sure that there's felling of trees continuously in the forest. So is it wise for the trees to vote for an axe, or is it wiser to vote for an instrument? A knife cannot cut a tree.
Now, you've highlighted the need why Nigerians need to pick competent leaders. You will be a federal lawmaker that will be making laws in the Federal Capital Territory. What type of legislations will you be making that would help tackle the identifiable challenges in the federal capital?
There's so many, but my first 100 days will be based on the first and immediate needs of FCT. As a lawmaker, don't forget, FCT does not have a governor. You know, the issue of a mayor at least has not seen the light of day. And so, and again, we just have 2 House of Representative members and 1 senatorial seat. And so you have that at the same time, the members who are in the House are the House of Representative is actually the House of Assembly of the FCT. So it's a multiple role. You're making laws, you are oversighting the functions, and you are also to attract development to the FCT. So I take those 3 responsibilities very seriously. There are laws that we are signatory to that are able to handle the issues of security that is within the FCT. I'll make sure that I start by looking at those laws, because we don't need, anything that is not quick. There are laws that are existing that Nigeria is signatory to already. I will bring up those laws. We will ratify. We'll go about the processes of ratifying and domesticating those laws. There are many laws waiting for domestication. If we domesticate those laws, I'm an international relations expert. If we domesticate those laws, we have quick instruments by which we can discuss with the communities, and then we can have community policing. First, to handle the banditry and the kidnapping. It has come too close to home. When Kuje was attacked, then the embassies realized that they had to send their families away from the city center, Abuja city center. That's a national embarrassment. And as I speak, 8 people were recently kidnapped again. 16 were released. There are members of my community that are in captivity as we speak. There are areas of Abuja South that they have food. They have farmed, they cannot evacuate those foods. And in the city center, we are buying bread at 1,000 naira. If flour is cheap, bread will not be 1,000 naira. We cannot have tomatoes at a cheap price. We're still valuing tomatoes from Jos when we farm in Abuja South. That wouldn't happen by the special grace of God if I'm a member representing Abuja South. Oh no, we will evacuate our farms, from the farm, a farm produce from the farm, and the entire chain to the table, to the municipality, and to the food to the table will be handled. The transportation, the access to proper farming implements, the access and safety of the people to their farms, the availability of partnership and funding, everything that it will take. I will bring all of my experience to bear. I will bring all I know and all I have in the international community to help me, to partner with me, to bring succor to the people of Abuja South.
Okay, failure in governance has been attributed to failure of legislative oversight on the executive. How do
Executive or the members of House?
The executive.
Okay, the legislative oversight on the executive, yeah.
So how do we address this challenge?
It's corruption. It's the intersectionality of corruption. When I'm trying to talk about my people and you offer me something that has to looks attractive and you say, oh, put that one aside. Put that one aside. Why don't you take this juicy committee and travel to the Niger Delta? You find people who are representing the FCT more concerned with Niger Delta.
Far away from their jurisdiction.
Meanwhile, they've just found oil in Bauchi. If you face the FCT, how do you know you're not going to find oil in FCT? They've just found oil in Bauchi. But you're more concerned traveling to the Niger Delta, being part of committees that don't concern the FCT. So it's about having the right people, the right mindset. When you appeal to my sense of greed, if I take the bait, then I get distracted from what I am there to do. I will not start being what I am not today. I am not it. And so it's not today that I will learn tricks that it will be like a dry fish that will get broken. And so I am focused. I know what I'm going to do. The issue of oversight function is germane to achieving anything in the FCT. Because we're just around the corner. We have all of the developed, we have so much in the FCT. It's just a few minutes away. When I came to FCT newly, I have always lived in Gwagwalada. Most workers were living in Gwagwalada. Development has left Abuja South behind. Why should it be so? Even the airport road has opened up. But the entire Abuja South is forgotten. But we gave succor to the metropolis when they were building. When the crude oil was building Abuja North, Abuja South was where people were living. Zuba, Gwagwalada. They were shuttling from these places to town. Why is Abuja South forgotten? It will not be the case when I'm representing Abuja South.
Anyway, your party is reported to be, planning on collapsing structures with the Labour Party.
We had ample opportunity to merge with the Labour Party, and we were all praying about it because it was about the passion for Nigeria. But unfortunately, fifth columnists came into the arrangement and made sure it did not happen. And when my principal was talking about it, he said exactly as it was. It was fifth columnists that knew that if that partnership will happen, Nigeria will be saved because track record, competence, integrity is on the part of my presidential candidate. And it is also what people are hailing about the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. Now, politics is about negotiation and discussion. We have passed that phase. Unfortunately, they allowed fifth columnists to hijack it.
Who are these fifth columnists?
There were fifth columnists inside the Labour Party that came out on air. We heard them when they said it was not up to discussion. You can't go into a discussion, a meeting, with a predetermined position. You sit down and it is give and take. You discuss. And so when they put up that ego trip, they made it difficult for discussions to even happen. And now at the 0 minutes, people are talking and trying to distract the voters. Please, NNPP is going to the polls. We are standing election. We have been campaigning. If, however, in the course of the election, there are reasons for alliances, we have a stronger structure than any other party. Take that to the bank. The other bigger parties, in quotes, have been rejected by the Nigerian people. They have been rejected because the Nigerian people are suffering right now. That's the truth of the matter. The suffering on the streets is so much.
Let me ask you, are you really having the buy-in of your fellow women in this your aspiration?
Why would you want to zero gender as an issue? We don't. I'm a politician. I'm a woman, yes. I bring to the table both the aces of being a woman and the aces of being a politician. You heard all through this conversation I was talking about competence, competence, and competence. Of course, when the women too see a woman who is competent, what stops them from buying in? I don't have any problem with buying in from the women. The women are the majority of the voters. The women are the majority of the sufferers. The women have to feed the children. The women have to contend with finding alternatives when they cannot easily buy bread and oatmeal. They have to go and mill whatever they can find. And so the brunt of bad governance is on the backs of women.
Just few days into the election, what are your chances?
Very bright. I'm very happy with the people of Abuja South. I must say that I've been so encouraged in this entire campaign. People have tried to make the narrative look difficult, like how do you think that as a woman you can be voted in the north? The first instinct of the northern man is to protect a woman. And I say that to Nigeria to understand it. The first instinct of a Nigerian northern man is to protect a woman. You have a problem when you are at variance with the ideas, the issues, and the problems of the people, and you want to represent them, or you want to be what they cannot identify with. Politics is local. They must be able to identify with you. They must understand that you understand them. You cannot represent people that you don't understand. So I want to use this opportunity to thank them for the time I've had throughout this campaign, for the protection I enjoy, for all they do. My campaign, the DG of my campaign is a Muslim man. I have worked with both men and women. I have worked with the youth. Once I come out, I have footages. Maybe I'll make them available to you. They have embraced me. I have felt the warmth of the people. As I have loved them, they have loved me back. And I've been very grateful. And all I'm asking them is to come out and cast their votes and be sure that those votes will count. You know, usually there's this worry about the votes not counting. We believe that this time around the votes will count, and they should come out and cast their votes and begin to change the narrative of their lives as a people.
We've been discussing the 2023 election, especially in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. And of course, my guest was Gloria Okolugbo, the NNPP Federal House of Rep, candidate for FCT. And also we discussed what her winning can bring for the people of the FCT. Gloria, I want to say thank you for being a part of it.
It's a pleasure. The pleasure is mine. Thank you so much. Thank you.